Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning. We're saying that because tonight's or today's or whatever you want to call it, this moment's webinar coming to you from the Prosperity and Health Alliance. Of course, I'm your host, Wade T. Lightheart, here in beautiful Bali, Indonesia, and I'm joined by Mr. Creel Hutchinson, who is in beautiful Hawaii. Just finished up a seminar, and Siha is somewhere in the world doing a demo somewhere as it is the old demo a day makes a check a day. So he's loading up for Christmas this year. Wants to have a big Christmas, so he's on full out massive action for another few more weeks. So great to have everybody on board, and great to have you on board, Creel. How's it going out in Hawaii?
Yeah, it's going fantastic. Thanks. Aloha, everybody. Part of the fun stuff of this business is you get to have international teams pop up. So for the last few years, I've been coming out to Hawaii, and right now I'm just outside of Kona, and we're going to do a demo tonight with my leader here, Michelle. Then flying off to Maui tomorrow for another 5 days. So a great working vacation. As we were kind of chatting with Kim before we jumped on the call, being excited about, hey, I want to be there, and I just realized, hey, if you continue to do the reps and the sets, as Wade likes to say, eventually the water system, the business goes to places outside of your neighborhood, and you end up traveling there and meeting great people and finding leaders. So yeah, super happy to be on board, and sending a big aloha, and hope everyone's doing great out there.
Thanks, Carl. And that's an important thing, and one of the important things for people who are jumping on the call and might be new to the business or just getting started or maybe a year or two into the business and realize that this kind of international global thing was a dream, was an idea, was something we hoped for, and it takes time to cultivate it. It takes a little bit of time, but it's worth the effort. It's worth growing your skill set, and the skill set comes down to what we cover in the Prosperity and Health Alliance. It also, the TSN turning point for your business, and Creel and I were just discussing that, is when you take up the responsibility of the demo. Because as soon as you start doing the demonstration, believe me, of all the things in Enagic, all the video presentations, all the different marketing videos, there is nothing that turns a person from, I don't know what this is, to I want one, better than the demo. And the number one thing in marketing is, can you make a fully demonstratable aspect of your product? If you guys think of the infomercial years with the chamois guy, or you remember the guys that stuck the people to their, with the crazy glue to their heads, and, or the various, the choppers or the Ginsu knives. You see, if you look at the big things that made an impact on you in your life and your marketing from traditional things, it was a demonstration about the power. It's very difficult to explain what Enagic does in a terminology that people understand, but when they see the demonstration, they can take it in and say, hey, you know what, this is different. And from that point, you start a conversation and follow up and get the appropriate thing. So the reality is the more people you can expose to the demonstration, whether you're doing it or someone else is doing it. And when you start out, you go to as many demos as possible, you see as many demos as possible, you get as many people in front of it, and then you learn the demo in your own language, in your own words, and then you put that in front of as many people as possible. That's it. That is the secret to success. Once you do that, then you're going to have, what's going to happen is people are going to want you to do the demo for them. And guess what? You end up in places like Bali, you end up in places like Hawaii, you end up places across the, and that's just how that process works. So it's nothing elaborate, it's nothing pie in the sky, there's no great big secret to this business. It just comes down to numbers, and it comes down to presentations, and then it comes down to follow-up. And if you just do those things, bang, 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 the ABCs, 1, 2, 3s of our business, you too will be living like this. It's really that simple. There's no mystery. I talked to all the 6, 8, 2, 3s, the 2, 4s, the 2, 5s, the 2, 6s, all of them. And they all say the same thing. It all comes down to the presentation. So with that, there is some things that really can charge up the thing, and that is events. Tonight we're going to go through the checklist really briefly, and we're going to open up the lines to your questions because we've covered a lot of stuff, and of course last week was the Kangen One Info meeting. But there's another thing that happens inside of Enagic, and that's events. And events create something that's what we call social proof. When you're out there on your own and you might not have any people in your business, or you're just starting out, we've all been there. You know, when everyone thinks you're a little crazy, or you're nuts, or someone below you, doesn't get it, damages, your belief. It's really important, especially when you're starting out, is you need to plug into as many events as possible. You need to hear the stories. You need to see the transformations, both physically and financially. And you need to get connected to the message, the crowd, the mission, the vision of Enagic. And there's no better person to talk about than Krill, who was just with Siha, did an amazing event in Hawaii. You probably saw the pictures all over Facebook. Krill, can you talk about what the vibe was like in Hawaii and how that was for you? And, coming maybe from your early events, because I know it was an event that made you kind of push over the top and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to finally do this. And then what was your experience in Hawaii?
Experience in Hawaii was excellent. I really commend a particular group in Siha's organization, Daryl, Derek, Jen, Kevin, their partners. It's really a family business. They did such a great job of hosting and entertaining us. All the speakers got picked up at the airport and done really well. And so I want to first and foremost recognize that it was really well done by the people putting it on, because it's not easy to organize events. It puts a lot of time and energy into it. They don't pay you to do it. It really comes after. There's like a momentum that can be created out of events. So they did a great job. We had about 150 people at the event. Definitely room. I could see this. They want to do a yearly event in November that will continue to grow. The vibe was excellent. It was really about creating a family business. I've been to a lot of different companies and network marketing events, and you can get a lot of hype, celebratory things, loud music. I really like Enagic events because they tend to be more family orientated. And what I mean by that is you can get to meet a lot of different people. You're not blasted with hype. You get really solid information. You get to talk to the people on stage. There's a real connection that can occur. So the Hawaii event was a lot of that. Tamia Cologne was there. Roger and Sabine were there. Roger gave an excellent presentation. There was Joko that came in from Indonesia, and that was really cool for the first time to kind of connect in with the Indonesia community, because they've got such a smoking hot business happening there. And he wanted to also show his 3 leaders that he brought with him that their business is more than Indonesia, and to think bigger than that. So getting out to Hawaii and introducing them on stage, he really wanted to emphasize that, hey, you guys, we can think bigger. It's a global business. So I think Hawaii's that melting pot. I know for myself, when I first met Wade, it was at a presentation. It was at the event 6.5, almost 7 years ago in Vancouver. And I went by myself to check out Enagic. I was really impressed with what I saw, got into the business. The next big event, which was probably about 6 months later, 8 months later in Vancouver, I brought 13, 14 people to it. And I think we ended up selling about 8 or 9 machines in about 3 weeks after the event. 3 of those systems went to business builders who are still with me in the business, and it really jump-started my business. So as we kind of mentioned earlier, you got to get people in front of the demo or events. So I was really promoting it to my 2 leaders here on the islands, Big Island, Maui, to bring as many people as possible. They showed up with a team. The local leaders showed up with people, and allowed the speakers to really present it to them. That drives your business. That can create momentum. And the vibe was excellent. Information was terrific. And I think what it does more than anything is it really solidifies people in a belief that the technology works, the business works, it's successful, there's other people being successful, no one's more valuable, no one's more special than anyone else, everyone's got a unique story, most likely from being broke and stuck to success. And so that really brings the belief system home. And I think events also really encourage people to get a deeper why happening. And then from there, the skills, 10% of the business, 90% is your mindset, your belief in your heart. And I think events do an excellent job at really helping people to get solid in the belief and their mindset, and then you get some valuable skill setting stuff. That's maybe it's an 80-20 rule, which is kind of generically fits everything. So 80% the mindset, 20% the skills. This event, once again, really hit that home. the more events you get to, the more events you bring your people to. What I found is your downline does not go to events if you don't. So being a leader means leading and really showing up for these things and encouraging other people through leadership and living by example to be there. So this event was certainly that. Before we got on this call, we also really talked about the key of duplication. When you're traveling as a leader, like I'm doing right now, and working with leaders in different areas, the key is how do I get people independent as quickly as possible so that my need to be here isn't driving their business, it's supporting their business. And the way to do that is to make sure your leaders know from day one that they got to be doing the demo. And they can't wait for my next trip back in order for there to be momentum or sales to happen in their business. So any of you who are watching this, and as you grow through your business, whether you're 1A to 6A at this point, realize when you start to work with leaders, you want to make them independent. You want to get independent. You want to be able to do the demo. You want to turn people onto the training system, plug people in so that you're always thinking duplication. And it was one of the mistakes I made the first 3 years of the 6-year business for me, that I didn't practice duplication. I did a lot myself, and it was a mistake. It set me back. And I think the fastest growing leaders and teams that I've seen, they keep it simple, they keep it duplicatable, and they don't try to be fancy or special. Simple, simple, simple. So as I've started to travel more, I want to travel less, if that makes sense. And so I realized, hey, in order to do that, I want to make sure the leaders that I'm working with are really set up for success, and that means doing the demo. So just to give you an example, I'm going to be working with 3 different leaders this week. All of them are going to be matching and doing the demo with me for the first time to get their kind of feet wet in it. And once I leave, the expectation is they can do mini demos for a small group of people or one-on-ones with ease, because they've been able to do it with me, and we can chat about that. So events. The next big event is going to be GoPro for us. Really the best generic network marketing training on the planet. Being there live is fantastic. If you can't be there live, the second best thing is to get the streaming ticket and create an event around the event. So that means, inviting people over, doing popcorn, doing brainstorming, to getting a whiteboard out. Make every event an opportunity to grow your business and to create some kind of momentum out of it. And then, of course, for the new year, we'll have a bunch of events happening that we'll announce. Especially, we're going to do an early January webinar of getting yourself mindset and skills and activity all set in for AMO, All Out Massive Action, early in January with the PH Alliance. So we'll have a special webinar to do that. But yeah, the power of events, life-changing. If I can give you one tip, fastest way to grow your business, bring as many people as possible to your next event and coach them to do the exact same thing over and over and over again, and you'll be amazed at how quickly things can grow, because you're not being the messenger, you're simply taking people to the message, and it's so much easier that way. So Wade, I think I'll invite you back in, and if you had any feedback on that, that'd be great to hear.
Great stuff, and again, I think you really keyed on a few things. Is people make big decisions about the business at events. So they make decisions about the water machine or getting that into their life from the demonstrations, but the people that really kind of say, hey, I could do this as a secondary income and maybe as a primary income down the road. That all comes from events. And, I started out the same way. I just wanted the technology for myself. I liked it. I started sharing with people, and I took people to demos. And then came the event. And then it was like, wow, there's a whole business thing here. And it was people who were really doing it. And the people that brought me were in association with the leaders and stuff. And all of a sudden, you're swept up where you have an opportunity to get mentored on how to really do this thing. And that's what's really unique about this business compared to anything else. In any other business, you got to put out all the money, and nobody's mentoring you. Nobody's teaching you. You got to figure all this stuff out, or you got to pay a lot of money to people to give you advice, and you don't know if that's the right advice. With this, we're invested in your success. We created this webinar just because we have so many people all around the world in different time zones in different places that can't show up, so we have a place where you can meet us, ask us questions, so we can help you grow your business. So I'm hoping that you're going to reach out and ask some questions. And of course, Creel, thank you so much for your contributions on so many levels, not just to your own team, but also to the greater team of Enagic and the Prosperity and Health Alliance. And you know, we're all in this together, and we really, really appreciate your help. And also, big shout out to Kim, who's in the background here, as always, making things flow smoothly, which all of this would not be possible, believe me, if you knew my computer literacy. You'd be amazed that I even got on the computer. So with that, let's just go quickly. We're just going to, if you guys had noticed, you're getting your emails in regards to the Prosperity and Health Alliance. I think we're up to number 18. We're 3/4 of the way through Prosperity and Health Alliance, 24 emails. Can we put up my screen? Is my screen up already, Kim? Okay, so I'm going to go to the full screen here because it gets other. Oh, I want this. There we go. I saw a picture of myself. I was horrible. So let's get this here. There we go. So here's our business checklist for the day, and if you can go, this is going to be in. If you look at the numbers, it's going to be email number 6, email number 12, and email number 18, and then the final one will be email number 24. And this is very, very helpful because what this allows you to do is it allows you to go through this small checklist. It's nothing fancy, but it does allow you to put checks and balances in your business to see where you might need some effort or where you might need some, you know, some focus or some questions or some answers. So that's what these are designed to do. These are not a pass or fail. They're not a make wrong. They're just a have you done this? Yes or no? And do you need help, or is there something where you require some coaching on? And that's what we're here to do. So on this checklist for week number 18, here's a couple of things we want to do. Number one, you should have watched the ABC and 123 PH Alliance webinar. Now, if you haven't seen either this webinar or any other webinar on the PH Alliance, you can go to prosperityandhealthalliance.com and you go to the YouTube icon. It's a little small icon. It's on several of the pages. You click on that, and guess what? You go to our YouTube channel, you look up this thing, and it's going to be there for you so that you can see your webinar. The other thing is number 2 is you got to understand the power of following the system. Look, I'll give you a story. Years ago, my dad was working as on a Ford Motor Company, putting bumpers on cars, and it was an assembly line. And of course, Ford developed the assembly line, the manufacturing factory, where each guy does or girl does a particular job, puts on a piece, does this, and the car moves down the line. And this radically improved mass manufacture. Now it allowed industry to move quickly. They developed a production line or a production system. And over the last 100 years, systems developed in a variety of corporations in order for them to grow exponentially, because what happens if everybody's trying to do their own way, you get a distortion of information and it's not duplicatable or replicatable. Our whole business is based on a system. So just like the foreman told my dad way back in the day, he said, listen, I'm going to show you how to put this bumper on so that you get it done in the 60 seconds that are allotted to this. Once you've mastered that, I don't care how you do it at that point, but learn my way first and get it done that way so that you hit that. And that's what I would say for you guys. Learn basics. Learn how to do a basic demo. Get this, get the basic inviting script. Do the 25 texts. Get people to purchase their own website. Use the online stuff, and just keep following that system. ABC 1, 2, 3. You know, invite, demo, close. Right. Get a machine. Get a website. Get on the training. That's it. This is the key, and you just repeat over and over and over, and some people will get it and embrace it. Some people will take a little longer. Some people will never get it, but you just keep sending that same message, and eventually it works out. Danny D. McCauley does the exact same thing on Kangen One Info. He says we need to be all singing from there, and the bottom line is the more people you show the presentation to, and the more people that are exposed to the demonstration, and then you follow up with them, That's all you need to do to build your business. The other thing is one of the things you want to do is number 3 is write down your testimony and story. And as we're going through this, just put a little check. You can print this off on your phone. Check to see if you've done this. What's your story and testimonial? And have you practiced it? Do you have your story in a 60 seconds testimonial? So, hey, you know what? These guys introduced me to the water. I didn't want anything to do with it. I had a little holistic clinic, but they kept pressuring me. I said, finally, I'm going to go there. I did it. I started drinking the water. It made a massive difference. I could train harder, faster, longer as an athlete. I said, this is amazing. I felt that there was going to be all these athletes that were going to love it. And I wrote a little book and started giving it out at my clinic. And the next thing you know, I had a business, and I didn't even know how that happened. I started taking people to demos. Eventually, I learned the demos. And, you know, it was, if I never made a dime, I just loved the machine. I think it's the best value I made in the health industry. But it turned into a 6-figure business my first year, and it's never been anything less ever since I've that. And now I'm traveling all the world teaching people, and it's an amazing business. That's my little 60-second elevator pitch. You might like to know more about it, and you usually follow up with a question. Whatever yours might be, say, hey, you know, I was looking for a source of water. I knew technology. Whatever was out there, just something that's relative and real to you. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to be excessive, but it does need to be practiced so that you can go into it really quickly, and then you end with a question. One of the things that you want to do is you want to understand intrigue created by stories and asking questions. You go to the 60 seconds, but you want to always turn it back to them. If there's one mistake, and I've done it as well, is that we fire hose people with all the benefits and all the wonderful stuff, and it can be really a turn-off in other people's minds. And one of the things is a great opener is, hey, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. What are you currently doing for water? Or do you drink bottled water? Or what's your whole strategy around water? Are you into the environment, or are you looking for a business? Do you keep your business option opens? Have 2 or 3 questions that feel comfortable for you to start asking people, and ask the question and listen. And listen. So you want to generate what your 3 go-to questions to qualify people for the product. And you want to have 3 go-to questions to qualify for the opportunity. And we cover those in those the leading up series. So I won't focus on it because we want to get to questions today. But ideally, do you have your 3 questions for the product and 3 questions for the opportunity? If you don't, go back to that webinar 2 or 3 webinars ago, or maybe 5 webinars ago, where we actually go over those questions and then kind of adapt that to your own version. 7, have you watched the inviting webinar? I think a lot of people, this is where they get stalled, is just getting the inviting. You know what, the bottom line is you want to get out your phone and you want to send those 25 texts a week, and then you want to follow up with one-on-one presentations, little mini demos in other people's homes. Don't wait to get them out to their stuff. Do those, go out, reach out, get to people's houses. Go do those demos, and then bring them to the bigger webinar or the bigger demo that you have once or twice a week in your local area. That's the key. So watch the inviting webinar and learn how to invite in a simple, effective way. Be quick and efficient in going through it. Number 8 is you want to understand the steps of the inviting format. We cover that in the inviting webinar. In fact, I think there's a couple of webinars inviting. Watch both of them. Turn it into an audio. Play it in your car. Do all of those things, because that will get you dialed into understanding the formula for inviting for people. The other thing is remember, your goal when you're presenting the product and presenting the business is educating and understanding. The bottom line is, when people do not know what this technology is about, they have no idea. In fact, what they know might be counterproductive to what it is. So we're in the process of educating people about the benefits of our product and the benefits of our business. And when the magic happens is when they understand the value of our product or the value of our business. And if they're rejecting you for whatever reason, somewhere, don't take it as a personal component, just realizes that they need more education or they need more understanding. And if you come at it with that kind of soft approach, it's like, oh, well, what part didn't you understand? Right? And they go, well, I'm not interested in the machine. Okay, I understand. You might not be interested right now, but what part did I not communicate to you? What part you didn't understand? And by asking those questions and getting to that stuff, you'll find the real reasons of what might be holding someone's back. And oftentimes people won't share that with you, but it also eliminates you from thinking that you have to do, that it's all about you. It's not about you. It's not a rejection about you. It's none of those things. It's just about educating and understanding. And as you go through this, you'll get better at educating and better at asking questions. And when you ask questions, you start to understand the needs and goals and desires of your prospect. The other thing is watched Wade's PH Alliance business presentation. I can't tell you how important that is. There's people that really mess up the business presentation or don't understand it. I didn't understand the business presentation for over a year, and there's some aspects of this industry that can be confusing. You might not understand. I would encourage you, and you can, again, it's right on the important videos page at the PH Alliance. Just go in there and watch the video presentation, or watch Creel's video presentation. Any one of these are really good. Watch some of the other people's business presentations. Get a feel for how the business. The other thing is for people who are doing the business, understand why the trifecta or the home health package or the entrepreneur kit, you can call it, is the strongest start. Also where your first sale goes after the trifecta, how that works, how you want to build under one of those legs and grow that out. And be clear about what you need to get to 6A2. And I say that because, I didn't understand that, and I made some very big strategical errors. And if you're not clear, talk to your upline until you get it. And they'll steer you in the right direction. And of course, I've had many people reach out to me over the years about what to do. And sometimes they don't understand why I'm sharing with them to do it a certain way or do this. And they eventually get it a year or two down the road. Don't make the mistakes that I have done, and hold yourself back from those extra ranks, extra bonuses. The other thing is I would really encourage everybody to watch Eric Worre's video on closing the sale. You can, it's in the links, and you can Google it as well. Eric Worre really does an amazing job on closing, and I think this is where a lot of people, once they get the inviting and the demonstration down, is getting to the point where they're okay to ask for the sale in a confident way. And that's where a lot of people get worried or fearful, or they have a hard time. And so if you watch that Eric Worre's video on closing the sale and how to go through that process and get to that process, you start to realize is that you have a format and a skill set, and there's an expectation, and you know how to get to the objection, expect the objection, and overcome the objection. And that's normal. That's just the sales process. Once you know that, there's really nothing stopping you. Finally, again, you have to understand how to ask for a sale. And part of that is also recognizing a lot of people aren't going to, lay down $5 or $6 grand for a machine, or 10 grand for a trifecta, or whatever. They're going to need to understand financing options. Finance options are always evolving and changing. So know your finance options in the United States, in Canada, and realize that not everybody's going to have great credit or have those things that where they're going to be able to do that, so you want to be aware of the E-program. I do not introduce the Enagic program for finance too early. I always introduce the other options first because you get paid fully. Oftentimes they're more manageable on the monthly payment things, and the reality is if someone doesn't have great credit, you've got to realize that they're an extra risk, and Enagic is going to take on that risk. But if they don't have good credit, they don't have good credit for a reason. They're a financial risk. So the success of the E-program is going to be compromised. That being said, I know a lot of motivated people that went through a downturn, something happened in their finances, something happened in their business, happens to lots of people, that the E-program was their only option, and that got them started in the business, and that got them on the road to financial recovery. In fact, many of the top leaders in Enagic used the E-program to get started when they first started. And I was one of those people. I got the E-program, and many of my early distributors got the E-program when I started, and I paid it off early. But and thanks to the commissions I was able to make. But that E-program was really, really good because I was going through a major financial challenge during that when I first started in the business. So you want to break that out a little bit later on after you've provided the options on financing. And then finally, watch the webinar on financing an E-program, because there's some really great nuggets in there that can help you. Can show this, so to show you how to introduce the program and to talk about these and what's the upside and the downsides and the opportunities and the liabilities of all that sort of stuff in an easy to understand format so that you become an expert. It's a lot of information, but you got to realize is these 24 emails that we're sending to you is going to make you bulletproof, Teflon coated, and understand every single component. And plus, we've already put these together for you to share with your team so that you don't have to go searching and doing this. So that's why we created the Prosperity Hub Alliance. That's why we do these checklists. You don't have to know everything in this business to be successful. You need how to know the invite, you need how to know the demo, and you need how to close or to follow up. And then you need to get how people get a site, get their site, get their machine, get their business website, and open their business. That's really what it is, ABC 1, 2, 3. And that's how we go. So with that, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the questions and answers. So if we can get that camera, I don't know what happened with my file here. Can you see me all right, Kimmy?
I can see your screen, but I don't see. Yeah, I see your.
There.
Yeah, I see it.
We're
Looks good.
Okay, so we're getting. Okay,
Yep.
good. So we're getting some weirdness there in the translation on my computer, but it seems like we're back to normal. So anything you want to add to that, Creel, before we go to questions?
No, I think that was really thorough, Wade. Every time I look at, I'm so happy with this training system. I think if a distributor took the time to go through this in 90 days and review this checklist with your sponsor, your chances of success and creating more speed to get to success is just going to be far greater than other people. And it doesn't mean sacrificing a lot of time. This could be fit into that, 5 to 10 hours a week that, to really get this business off the ground, and really spending 90 days to go over this. So I think it's great. I think it's very thorough. And if you're seeing this, wouldn't you love everyone else on your team to go through the training system? So we got to get really good at selling the system and encouraging people to really take the time to do this, because we want to have distributor retention at a higher level, and we want to increase the amount of people who are getting to 2A and to 3A to 4A. And I think the training system, the mindset, everything we've got plugged into there is going to be really effective there. So yeah, great job, Wade, going over it, and look forward to hearing if you've got any questions about it.
Awesome. So we do have a question coming right up. And by the way, for you guys out there, we really, really encourage your question, whatever your burning question. There's no dumb questions. In fact, the dumbest questions are often the most important questions. What seems like a dumb question is a very relative question. So don't feel fear about asking whatever it is. That's what we're here to help you. So here's a question. Just go into your chat box or the question box and type it in, and we'll go through it. So from Jackie says, how do you balance the actions required every day for building a business and being an accountable leader and keeping yourself optimistic? Sometimes I get so caught in actions and looking at my financial results that I find my mindset tanking. How do you get yourself out of a slump and on the emotional roller coaster, or off, and keep it from happening? I would say she meant off the emotional roller coaster and keep it from happening again. This is great. You want to take a stab at it, or do you want me to start on that, Creel?
It's a fantastic question. And I think it comes down to a conversation around leadership. And what happens in this business is, at the beginning, you're doing the work. And the work is selling systems, being familiar with what's happening, learning to do the demo, getting to about 20, 30, 40 sales, doing all that. And then there's this really interesting turning point where you've got some individuals on your team that now you need to kind of stop working in a way, or your work changes. Your work now turns around being like, I have to become a leader and show these people what was actually so successful for me, because they're here, was you got to teach other people now how to do what you've been doing, which is the working part. And we never got trained to be leaders. We got trained to do the work. And there's some excellent books that I've read on leadership. I'm fascinated by the topic. It's not easy to have a great leadership organization. Companies spend millions and millions of dollars trying to get the right systems in place, the right mindset. So the difficulties that we face in network marketing in this transition into leadership is common throughout the global, at all levels. And it's a really neat place to be, because it realizes, hey, you've got some activity happening. yes, you want to stay positive in it, and it can be emotional. It can be up and down. I would definitely recommend picking up some great leadership books, typing in leadership, and looking at some of the YouTube videos that come up about it, what other people that have really based their career around teaching this type of skill set have to say, and stay positive within it. The positivity thing is really about being a little bit unattached, easier said than done. But the reality is, you know, we face difficult no's and frustrations all the time, and those do not determine your business. Your response to those determines your business. And I just continue to move forward, being positive, and deciding what type of leader do I want to be and what's that example I want to have to other people. And the type of leader I am is I stay positive. Yes, people come and go. It's disappointing, but I'm more excited about the person who's coming than the person who's going. And to really solidify and to ask really important questions. What type of leader do you want to be? What's the values in your organization? What attributes, what characteristics are you looking for? These are all great questions that Wade has asked me in the past as I've had challenges with my business and my leadership and so forth, to really get clear on who I was and what I was calling in. And if I didn't like what I was calling in, then I needed to change, and that means I needed to change what I was doing. And so, yes, excellent topic. I have gained so much information and leverage and traction on this topic from having Wade as my upline mentor and leader. So Wade, I'm going to turn it over to you because I know you've got a lot of valuable information to share on this topic.
Well said, Krill, and I think it's really important, and you know, you're probably the biggest testament of someone who is a product of really engrossing yourself in a leadership program, not just a business program, but a leadership program, and developing the characteristics, the skill set, the abilities to build the organization that you've done, which is truly commendable. You know, I always laugh. Most people don't, when people see Krill, he's this super clean-cut, you know, wonderful presented guy. But when he showed up, I mean, he had the earrings and the dreads, and I mean, I was just, I didn't have a whole lot of hope for this guy, and he's become the most valuable leader in my entire organization with his organization and structure and his ability, and so it's amazing. You've got to realize that this is a personal development program with a compensation program attached to it. So you get paid directly in proportion to your ability to commit to your own growth. And the start of your question here says, how do you balance the actions required every day for building a business and being accountable as a leader and keeping yourself optimistic? So when you start out, so let's go through the different phases of your business. Your first goal when you start out is to get to 4A. Now, why do we say get to 4A? Well, the data is complete. Over 85% of the people who get to the level of 4A move on to 6A. 85% success. Now, recognize that most people don't get past 2A. 90% of the people, 95% of the people that will never get past 2A. They'll never get more than a couple referrals. So when you start out, your focus is simply getting as many people in front of the demo and as many people on the water as possible, and just churning that. So the leadership is either you're bringing people to a demo, you're taking a demo to people, you're getting on the water, you're what I call hustle. And we did a really great presentation, and I would recommend it to everybody, called Vision, Skills, and Hustle. Number one, what's going to keep you optimistic and accountable is your vision of the future. Where do you see yourself? Simply that. And I'll give you an example from my past. When I was 15 years old, I saw myself on stage at the Mr. Universe contest. That was my vision. My mentor was Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's what I was going to do. And I started training in a garage with no equipment. I built my own gym in the middle of the woods. And I trained in a snowmobile. So I did whatever. I did insane things, dumb things, retarded things, things that made no sense, things that made my peer group look at me and said, what's wrong with this guy? And I'll tell you, people said, wow, Wade, you're the most disciplined guy ever. I'm like, no, I'm not. I didn't understand that because discipline comes from your vision. Optimism comes from your vision. Clarity comes from your vision about your actions, what you're going to do, what you're not going to do, and how much you're going to do or how much you're going to grow. That is directly proportionate to the vision that you have. And you need to come back to that vision on a daily basis. Every morning, every night, you want to have that vision, have that goals list, be very clear about what it is that you want to do, because that will pull you through the difficult times, and there will be difficult times. Make no mistake. So that first while, you're getting your vision, you're committing to the vision, and then you're learning the skills of inviting people to see the product, see the presentation, and following up with that. By the time you get to 4A, you want to be able to completely do a demonstration on your own. Why? Because now you can help do the demonstration for your team members. Now, you may have people at 4A, you may not have people at 4A. It's kind of like a deck of cards. You're flipping these cards over, you don't know what you're going to get. You know, there's 4 aces in that deck. You might flip an ace. You know, I have one guy, Alain, the first guy he referred was Siha. Once this has happened in 9 years, right? It was the luck of the draw, right? I've had other people that have gone several years before they find a leader that really runs with the business. But those people will go there and they're directly proportionate to the amount of effort you put into this and the amount you grow in your efforts. Once you get to 4A, usually you'll have maybe one person that you're doing it. And the business becomes fun when you get someone else to do it with. Your focus at that time is what I call bifurcated focus. And this is a terminology by the Wolf on Wall Street or whatever. He talks about you're looking for your opportunity, but here comes a person comes in and now you can access it. You want to help them grow to 4A. So all out massive action. And I would say when you start out, you want to flip to a 50-50. 50% on working on them, 50% working on your business. Then you're going to increase that by maybe 10 or 15% up to 4 people maximum. I really feel that you can only handle about 4 distributors, like working distributors directly. And I got this from my upline years ago. I said, how many people can you really actively support as a leader? It's about 4. Reality is when you're starting out, if you've got 1 or 2, that's incredible. I ended up early on with 2, which then became 3. And inside that, you got to realize there's going to be leaders building out. So I was able to grow quickly simply because I was fortunate enough to have some good people, and my upline was driving the business side of it when I had no clue. It just didn't get it. And that was the other thing. So you want to, when you're starting out and you have a hot potato, you have someone that's doing, plug them into the leadership. You got to step out of the way and plug them into the people with the experience, the vision, the stuff that can communicate that. And one of the things that, and both Siha and Creel, we introduced them to our top guys. And that's where they made those big business decisions. It wasn't because of me. It wasn't because of the sponsors. It was because of who we were able to introduce them, and they could have a conversation that I wasn't capable to communicate at that level. And that was a big, big difference. And that's why we have this. So if you have those people that are on the edge or want to do the business, don't be the limiting factor. The leadership, the best leaders in the world are the best students. In other words, they're coachable and they have enough humility to say, hey, Wade, I need to introduce you to the person that can answer that question. I need you to introduce you to the person. I don't want to do you a disservice by telling you how my way is. Because the reality is, if you haven't done it, you haven't done it. You just haven't done it. And that person's going to pick up on that vibe. So don't pretend what you're not. Introduce them to that person. The next thing is you identified here is you get caught in the actions and looking for financial results. I think another big mistake a lot of people do is they put in a massive financial pressure on themselves. They have a few sales in 1 month and decide they're going all in full-time on the business, and they put themselves under the financial gun. When you're starting this business, the beauty of it is you can start it on a part-time basis and scale up. you're going to have to hustle. You're going to have to put in those extra hours. You're going to have to turn off the TV. You're going to have to turn off the Game of Thrones. You're going to have to turn off some of the extracurriculars. And if you're working your 40 or 50-hour-a-week job or 30-hour-a-week job, you're going to allow 10, 15, or 20 hours to work your Enagic business. And you got to commit to that. If that's what you commit to that and do the income-producing activities, and that's inviting people to demos and doing demos. That's the second phase of being optimistic, and recognize that no is a result. No makes you closer to a yes. Every no that you get gets you closer to a yes. Every no that you get is a learning experience. You've got to realize we're sorting. We're not in the convincing business. I've never seen anybody that was convinced about the business be successful. I found people who love the machine and were so excited they decided they wanted to do the business, and we coached them up from there. But I've never seen anybody convinced. I think a lot of people, they're looking to turn lead into gold. They have someone they think would be great, or think that would be wonderful, or think that they could do the business, and they pin all their hopes on this person. They put all this pressure on this person. They put all their things on this person, and they freeze, and that person can almost feel the weight or the pressure of, you know, trying to have this sale or do this business or whatever, and they don't do it. And then they get stalled, and you feel depressed, and you know, you didn't get that sale, and you were counting on it, and you got to pay the rent, and that didn't come in, and now your spouse is upset at you. And there's this whole emotional cascade because you put so much pressure on one person getting it. The easier route is start 25 conversations about the business, and those are all progressing at different rates. And you just keep going with the hot potatoes, and all of a sudden you have the inflow of the sales come in bunches. They come in, and there's a cycle. It's about a 90-day cycle, I find, for really getting people to commit to this. I mean, I'm sure Creel would acknowledge that. It's, you start the conversation, you go to a couple demos, they go through financing, there's some objections, there's internet stuff, there's all these different things that kind of go through the process, and you just get better at handling it. And when you're not attached to when they buy or how quickly they close, that sort of stuff, you're just keeping educating and understanding and building a relationship, keeping them on that stuff. And they go, you know what, this person actually gives a crap about me. And yeah, I want to work with them. And that's when you cement that relationship, and then you step up into the leadership role. Now, as you move into the 6A level and beyond, sorry, getting a little background blender noise there. Apologize for that. I am at a workstation here in Asia, so it's 10 o'clock in the morning, people are getting smoothies here, so I apologize for that. What can I say? I want you to be here too. As you move to the 6A level, there's a mistake that a lot of people make, and I made it, and that is that you can go to management mode, and that means that you're just working on your distributors and not generating new business for yourself. And the funny thing is when you're making the most money in this business, like you're going to the mailbox and there's all these checks coming in, what you don't realize is that you've actually peaked and you're on the descent. You're the descent because the business is driven by new people. And it looks, because you're getting all this money, that you're still on the rise, but you're actually descending. And it's very difficult to understand that as a leader. Your actual increase, the point where you're making the most amount of growth as a leader is when you're plugging people into the events. Your growth in your business is directly correlatable to how many people you have at the events. So your business grows by how many people you do demos for, and that's the part you can control as far as sales and generation and turnover. But the growth of your business is directly correlatable to how many people you have an event in your organization, because those are the people that have decided to become leaders themselves. And then you want to identify those leaders, cement those relationships, and help them get the tools. And there's also a part of what I call tough love communication. And there's a part in your business where you've got to be tough love with yourself and tough love with your leaders, and share with them the things that might be uncomfortable to hear. Try to sandwich it between a couple of positives, and also be willing to take criticism yourself. And that's the hardest part. And as a leader, you want to invite that criticism. You want to invite and say, hey, you know, what things am I failing in? What things could I do better? How did I mess up? Because as you grow in a leader, you're gonna be faced with some uncomfortable things. You're gonna have two friends who know each other and have tried to recruit the same person. You're going to deal with that. You will deal with that. It's not pleasant. It's uncomfortable. You love both these people. You might love that other person. You're going to have to deal with that. You're going to have to deal with maybe someone jumping lines. You're going to have to deal with criticism of you. And again, what Krill said is you want to go back to the people or the people who have vision, read biographies about people who have been successful. And I strongly encourage taking the time to really find your mentors of discipline. For me, it's people like Yogananda, people like Gandhi, people like Martin Luther King, people like Arnold Schwarzenegger, people like Tony Robbins, people that overcome extreme levels of adversity and they found ways to succeed. So whether it's reading biographies, whether that's watching inspirational videos, whether that's doing stuff, you got to realize that anything worth taking is going to be hard, it's going to be difficult, and that will help you manage the emotional roller coaster. And you know, the other thing is time. You know, as you go through this business and you get through the times period, you know, there's a maturing process that happens where you will be less attached, you'll be less emotional involved in the business, and it'll be much easier for you to kind of get to that stage where, you know, no one person determines my business. No one sale determines the quality of my life, no that sort of stuff. And the less you're attached, it gets easier as your organization grows. The easier it is. But you do go through that emotional roller coaster at first. You will go through those experiences and recognize that's just part of the learning and growth curve. So I hope we answered your question on that. I know it was kind of a long ramble, but it was such a good question. I felt I wanted to do you service and justice, Jackie, to get that over. So if we have any other questions, please feel free to type them in. I know that was kind of a long-winded one. Krill, I think Krill jumped off, I believe. He had to bounce. He's off to do another demonstration, so I want to thank Krill for joining us today. As always, it's great to have his insight. Any other questions? So we're going to give you another 30 seconds or so to type something in. Let's check out to see who's all here. I want to give a shout out to everybody on the line. We have Alan, and Barry, and Carmen, and Danny, and Hunter, and Jackie, and Janelyn, and Landon, Liza and Ron, Marlene, Roger and Sabine, Trish. You guys are all amazing. We really appreciate having you on the team. I think you're all an extraordinary individuals, and I feel so blessed. I literally get up every day and thank the Maker for not just the financial rewards of the business, but the people that we have in the business and knowing how hard you're all working. So it really makes a big difference for me. Makes a big difference to you. So I don't think we have any more questions. We're going to call that a thing. I will encourage you this. Go back to that checklist. Look at the checklist, again, week 6, week 12, week 18, and of course the next one will be week 24. Go through those checklists, check through where you think you need the work, get with your upline, plug in, and we'll be happy to help you. So with that, I'm going to give a shout out and a sign off. I'm Wei T. Lightheart from the Prosperity and Health Alliance with my colleagues Krill Hutchison and Siha Tots, who are also around the world doing the demo, doing the deal, sharing the things. And I want to encourage you, thank you so much for joining us. It works if you work it. Make the effort, and we'll see you in one of the sunny shores of the world as we grow together in this amazing opportunity, in this amazing family called Enagic. Can't wait to see you at the next event. Can't wait to see you next webinar. We'll see you right here, same time, same place, next Monday night, 6 p.m. Pacific. Look forward to seeing you. Take care. Have a great night.